Greetings, dear lighted ones. This is Joanna from Universal Love and Light Wisdom, as well as Heavenly Radiance and Sacred Corner. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we were so grateful as we call in Sacred Communion, as we call in the highest frequencies of Holy Light for all light programs within our omnipresence, the Heavenly Councils, the Councils of Light, the Christ Collective, the Archangels, the Ascended Masters, all of our healing teams offering us the highest shifts, accelerations, and activations for our multidimensional bodies here and for always, that we call them in and activate who we are as Source Creator within source fields of omnipresence. Allowing ourselves to acknowledge that we are as Source is, that allow us to step forward every time we get into the sacred corner. We just open into our offering of sacred unity. Our bodies begin to clear what no longer serves. So you'll just automatically start to feel yourself work within your intentions and your movement within the omnipresence that is Source, by calling forward your sovereignty to claim and honor your fields, to be the mentorship and the mentor of yourself, of your bodies, of your fields, and co-creating in that way. And why our topic today, on the heels of our topics about creative expression having such key fundamental values and attributes to the evolution of humanity, the evolution to any individual soul, the freedom of creative expression is the spiritual exploration of who we are. And being so fundamental, as well as that leading into honoring and healing sovereignty, releasing all subjugation and fear and limitation and control systems. Now leading us into today's topic, which is imagining beyond the 3D, imagining beyond the 4D, and actually living it. So we're really excited. This is a co-creative experience. And many of us that have come forward, I remember since being a little girl, just always having that innate excitement of imagining. And we often always, as children, we always have that most expressive and expansive desire to play and be joyful as playing with our imagination and in our imagination, bringing our imagination to life. Imagination, what I was shown many years ago, is one of the fundamental tools of the Christic toolkit, the toolbox that we all come with. All that we desire to explore our omnipresence is held within us. Our imagination, our will, our desire, all that we are as divine male and female energies, we carry everything within us. We encompass the mother, father frequencies within us. As we showed in our diagram, the frequencies of the Holy Mother, which is the silver in representation of the moon, and the Father representation of the sun. From my understanding, in this universal galactic perspective for Earth, the planetary shifts and alignments for our Earth's ascension is to, by releasing and rebalancing the systems, subjugations, the imbalances of the male energies, we're now bringing into full energy alignment of the divine feminine, and the father energies, the brother energies, are supporting the mother to be risen, the daughter to be risen in this universal story for rebalancing, bringing the universal child into the family. So it's a very beautiful, energetic story to heal the wounds as a collective, planetary collective, from eons of imbalance and injustice and illness. And what I was shown as a shamanic story, I suppose about 2 years ago, because of how Gaia and our collective experience to have the farthest reaching density and separation from Source, part of our soul's experience to explore density, to return back to our omnipresence, to return back to our oneness with Source. Part of our evolutionary experience was to go to the farthest reaches of separation and work our way back into remembrance of being soulful and spirited and one with Source. Now, these experiences left very traumatic wounds within Gaia, without Gaia, and in our collective energies, and why so many of us are healing at this very time collective wounds, and we can feel as empaths the clearing of the collective through such traumas that we're going through within our global experience right now, along with many other lifetimes, Atlantis, Lemuria, many lifetimes that we don't even know about or have been written about in the metaphysical experience, that are all part of our healing from 3D to 5D, to bring back into a balance and be harmonized purely in each and every one of us, the male frequencies and the female frequencies, each having our own individual attributes that at any one moment we're harmonizing. Whether we're creating through our pure will, we need to step into our power through that male frequency. We're constantly in this harmonization, and this is the pillar of light that we all exist within and we're being fed the divine inspirations from the divine mind, our divine soul, oversoul and oversoul, and so on. And so what I was shown eons ago was that, from eons, I was shown a couple of years ago that Earth, being the child of the, a child, if you will, of the galaxy, often believed by its inhabitants, not by Gaia, because Gaia absolutely knows that she's sown within the all. She's sown with Mother, Father. She's sown with the universe. She understands her story. She's a very intelligent being of consciousness. But how we have behaved and how we have treated ourselves as being very separate and limited, separate from our own galactic lineage, our own universal omnipresent lineage, has brought forward those behaviors and feelings as a planetary collective. And so other perspectives from the universe, from the galaxy, higher dimensional beings, other dimensional beings that are like-minded, knowing of their oneness with Source, knowing of their oneness with the galaxy and the omnipresence, the infinite amount of life that is out there, form and unform, all consciousness that is Source, understanding that Gaia to be this child that was out in the cold, if you will, because of our choosing to be working through the layers of density and separation from Source. So in this process of ascension from the harmonic convergence in 1987, the plan of the ascension, because of how we had allowed ourselves to de-evolve and become so stagnant as a species, the many heavens and the many programs of light chose to help assist Gaia and humanity, and those of us that have come forward in this lifetime, and many other lifetimes before, of course, but this is a lifetime where we're moving from 3 to 5D, have come to assist in this humanitarian, human, planetary, galactic, universal program to ascend all life to a higher frequency and belonging into the universal family. So the story is that the adoptive, the child, if you will, adopting its new benevolent omnipresence remembrance as a collective and as a planet, Gaia always knowing that she was a part of the greater plan, but we have not been in tune and connection with that. And she's always held us in such great regard and supported us no matter what we chose to believe and experience. And she's held those energies, and it's now time for us to awaken and assist her in that healing, to become part of the universal galactic family. And our helping in doing so is reunifying with her, reunifying and understanding that we have contracts that are sown with her to assist in our awakening through our creative sharing, our creative gifting, our creative skills that come universally within our DNA and our fields and our bodies, for us to choose to call forward and pull it forth to use and co-create with. But that's part of our service and our commitment as a collective family. So bringing the child back home, the planetary child, the collective child, the child that each and every one of us are, again, micro, macro, to the universal oneness. And that thus then preparing us for each and every one of us, the reunification with our celestial omnipresent families that come in many forms, that come in many dialects of consciousness. And so allow yourselves to know that anything that we put out is not necessarily the be all and end all. It's only my interpretation and perspective of the many years and the many eons that I've come to express my awakening intelligence. And so again, take what resonates, and then move on to what resonates with you. And of course, that's everyone's free will. And offering these micro, macro experiences and story perspectives, the energetic story perspectives, allows you to truly understand our threading within the all, our importance of our soul's contract with Gaia. The soul contract that she holds with us is co-creational. It's respectful and benevolent in every way for her honoring of us and our soul's need to explore and express and experience ourselves as Source. And I'll give you an example. That many years ago, and from being a young child, I remembered speaking with Gaia and just being so familiar. To some it would seem odd, because it it's just out of the norm of what our socio behaviors were about. But I was able to talk with nature and talk with the energies that are in all things, that divine energy of being open and allowing through the creative oneness that we are. And then after time, just succumbing to social norms and shutting off those intuitive gifts and those blessings that many of us as crystal child and as star children end up doing, is we just shut down and stop expressing ourselves as light. and communicating as light and co-creating as light. And those are the themes that we're all coming to work on and shift and change. But one of the co-creative threadings that we have with Gaia is that that contract that if I was to move at any point in my life into an awakening of me wanting to explore my my ability to create tonics, healing tonics, or tinctures of healing medicine, if there was something that I knew within my consciousness that was required as a healing modality, I'm seeing something right now from a future timeline, and that tincture and that herb was not yet present, then Gaia and I would start beginning that co-creation, and she would begin co-creating that tincture of medicine that would be held within that tincture to come forward for that modality. So this is why it's important for us to honor our creative exploration, our creative imagining, because as authentic souls of expression of source, we have everything within our fields and within our soul's body that whatever we are creatively inspired to follow in our authentic expression, then we have that same source field, omnipresence, potentiality to co-create with Gaia, with all of the fields of the all for these evolutionary programs to bring forward that new flower, that new herb for the tonics. And so that's why, understanding how important creative expression is to the healing of the multidimensional bodies. It activates our multidimensional DNA, and DNA activates our multidimensional gifts. It's that infinity that continues to, as we offered the other day in our recording, allowance. Allowance, and like many vibrations through ascension, allowance offers us both. This is the 3D that we're letting go, and we're opening up into the 5D loop, if you will. And this is just an example. It can be either side, it doesn't matter. And so I allow myself to release what no longer serves. I honor, I center. I now create a new experience of creative exploration and experience. I now allow myself to explore freely. So allowance can take both sides. Just as if I allow something to be released, I allow something to be considered. So allowance and presence is really important to that creating anew, as opposed to resisting or restricting and saying, well, it's only supposed to look this way, or my family would think it's weird if I did this or not did this. And so this is why that creative expression and sovereignty work hand in hand. It's always a harmonization, just bringing ourselves ever up the planetary, vibratory experience. But we each come with gifts within our soul's journey to activate whatever it is we're here to explore and express or experience within our soul's desire. And that could mean that, it could be family and nature, nutrition, the children's collective that we're here to help inspire, but really open up the gates and let them explore as their genius will provide, because they're masters far beyond what we have given them credit for. But Gaia comes with many potentialities of consciousness that are activated through our creative exploration and sovereignty, and vice versa. We activate her and she activates us. So it's a contract that's sewn within our multiverse omnipresent contracts. We are constantly have our own soul's contract, and we feel this is the soul within us, our spirit and our soul, that feeds out and ripples out to the sacred geometry of all that we are, dodecahedrons, or however we're experiencing that moment based on our awareness. And then we come with the Gaia contract, our collective contract, and our Gaia contract, and then the omnipresent contract, our galactic contract, or universal contract. As we said the other day, from the divine mind, we can feel ourselves as your bodies awaken, that we're threaded within multiplanetary galactic energies. And why at a galactic level we're feeling the collective healing right now for our collective journey, and how we can relax and allow the unfolding to heal what needs to be healed, returning to love and unconditional compassion and forgiveness, and releasing all judgment, because we are all parties in all realms and all forms. The more openly that we can live from that heart space and forgive, releasing all judgment allows us to slip quite fluidically into our soul's divine desire to explore as source, using our full potentiation of our Christic toolkit. So that's what we want to talk about today. That Christic toolkit, the imagination, which is one of the most exciting topics, because it allows us to truly imagine and co-create beyond 3D, beyond 4D. as we release the densities, the limitations from our experiences, we allow ourselves to begin to step within that omnipresence energies and what we've claimed to be the archetypes, into that full, king and queen or empress and emperor energies. Those are archetypal energies that allow us to feel our most maximized, harmonized male and female self, where we call forward that will to choose our own excitement of creative expression, experience, and exploration, and then choose to move forward with it. The allowance comes in just letting go of all expectations and allowing Source to live through you, being 100% as an open, surrendered vessel so that Source lives through you. And it takes that we surrender the ego. It takes that we surrender all of those paradigms and those programmings and patterns that kept us in limitation. And so seeing and creating and imagining beyond the 3D, our inspiration today is just to come forward and to provide you with inspiration on how to ignite your imagination. It's so really important, because now we're at this crucible gateway where we actually walk through the gates and we start co-creating in the vibrations, where we actually see and feel and sense in every way, because we have energy fields that we don't even have words for, and experiences that will allow us to feel and exercise our intuitive sensings, our subtle bodies. Some of those experiences will come from our experiences with Gaia and how we get activated by her and she activates us. But these are the imaginings that allow us to see this 5D reality world and feel into. I was given a little while ago this beautiful experience where we were in a woods similar, and there was these beautiful little tan-colored, nature-colored pods, and they looked like tents, but they weren't tents. That's the closest that I can explain to what they looked like. They were some sort of sacred geometric shape that all the community lived in, and they were just placed in nature randomly, taking up very little room, very little space, but they were for the purpose of being within nature to create not only the self-healing and the balancing that as elemental bodies of energy that we are, but to also explore nature in that way and have our sensings and our bodies and our fields be completely harmonized with Gaia. This in and of itself allows us to be the most freely exploratory being of imagining that we can be with, because we're completely harmonized with our planet, knowing that we each co-create in oneness and activating one another. And so Gaia being absolutely planetarily threaded, galactically, universally, and feeding those emanations like we offered before in our offerings, the love radiations of intelligence for the light programs of evolution. So just knowing that innately being in nature, and why so many people just feel so much better being in nature when you just go for a walk, because we're harmonizing our multidimensional fields and bodies with her. And these pods were our instead of houses, we had pods. And instead of going to works every day and working to live and living to work, we explored nature. We explored who we are as spirit and as essence. We remembered how to fly and levitate. We remembered how to bilocate from planet to planet, timeline to timeline, because it's a consciousness experience, not a place or a destination. So understanding those abilities to expand who we are through our consciousness, because we are source, believing and knowing that we are source, believing and honoring our ability as source, having the piety and the reverence to understand your oneness with all life, put you within that vibrational experience. So we can experience ourselves as the flowers. We can experience ourselves as the moss and as the nature, to find energies not only of sacred play and of oneness, but of medicines, of our timelines as elements, because many of us have elemental DNA, fairy DNA, pixie DNA, energies from our most first originated experience as life upon this planet. We have those threaded within us. So these are all the awakenings within our DNA, within our fields, that allow us to expand all that we are, and also in remembrance of who we are at the same time. So it's a simultaneous activation, harmonization, and remembrance of our unification. The all is always the all. We are the all. We are within the all is within us. So the creative imaginings allows us to say, well, in this moment, what are my most desired dreams that I've either held at random, or I've held at that have been latent, if you will. And now that I've gone through my healing and I'm totally free to explore who I am, I'm giving myself that permission. What do I see my world and my place within it? And how do I feel myself being excited to explore it? And in those musings and honorings, allow yourself to totally surrender into your source and your soul, and offer forward visualizations, offer forward dreams, offer forward synchronicities to how you can dream and imagine beyond 3D. And this is what we're all being inspired to right now, is to see beyond 3D and 4D, beyond the healing that is required, beyond the pains that you perhaps may feel. Give yourself portions of your day or your daily self-care to imagine and create beyond, because that allows those cells not only to regenerate and heal quicker. That's what the imagination does. That the imagination is part of your self-healing, because we have access to healing our bodies and our cells and the atoms and all that is within. But not only that, but it allows us to expand and use that creative tool that is intuitive, linked with the higher self, linked with all that you are through the pineal and all that we are as multidimensional beings, to call in those informations and continued excitements to explore. Not only does it, we often say this because I was just born, always been so fascinated with, teaching and learning and teaching and learning. But I also, Source often reminds me that the most important offering of the imagination is for your own sacred joy. We often forget that, but we're in the middle of such collective healing right now that I offer what I offer as learning tools and learning aids. But the most important gift of your imagination is for you to be joyful in who you are, to be joyful in the expression of who you are, in the exploration of who you are, in the experience of who you are. So how can you imagine beyond the 3D? You perhaps might think that you live in a house, but we forget that we put together everything that we see and feel every day. That's how powerful our consciousness is, that we put together the physical bodies every day. So if you could imagine something new tomorrow, what would it be? How could it look? How could you feel your way into? And we say feel because there's multidimensional energies and sensings and tools that you have within your Christic toolkit that aligns with the Christic grids, the crystalline energies that store and have infinite information relaying back and forth from all directions of the infinite light programs. And this is why our crystalline DNA and our cells and our bodies are becoming ever more crystalline as we release the density. We experience the joy of who we are. That all accelerates our experience of lightedhood. Becoming lighter is a physical, literal experience. It's not just something that is said and not understood. Your cells in your body becomes lighter. Your thoughts become more refined, higher in light. And in doing so, so do those vibrations equally match as you're calling in inspirations to co-create in that way. You're calling in the inspirations to create topical medicines from herbs and from nature. You're co-creating ways to explore your creativities in new ways that, unbeknownst to us a year earlier, we didn't know we had. And so if you allow yourself the acknowledgement, the permission to play, creatively play, what would it be like to levitate? I know it's within me, it's within my DNA. What does that feel like? And then notice what comes up. If it's a fear of, my spouse would think that's crazy, I can't talk about this, then those are those arenas to heal. Release the beliefs and release the ability to hold yourself back and suppress your light because of others. So that's what needs to be healed and released. But just feel into those expressive, creative experiences because, as we said in many of our writings and our offerings, we're healing those timelines and we're healing those experiences even from our earliest of childhood. We can remember. I remember experiences in the womb, and also other lifetimes. But we can remember experiences that we think we have turned off, if you will, or that were so traumatic for us that we have forgotten and suppressed them so deeply. And it could be as, many times where you were, speaking with an elemental, you were speaking with fairies, or you maybe had a celestial friend drop in it that others couldn't see, and you were ostracized for it. And many of those suppress our creative experiences and our creative abilities that we've always had. So in your creative expression and exploration and imagining beyond the 3D, you will most often than not move through these experiences that require your healing. So your acknowledgement, you're calling in for acceptance, unconditional acceptance. That's who you are. You're forgiving and compassion of all parties involved, releasing the story. I forgive all those involved that allowed me to feel less than, or I allowed myself to feel less than, that my gifts weren't important or valid. And then honor and acknowledge yourself as whole and healed in one. Therefore, bringing yourself back to that harmonic balance so that you can begin to explore your most expansive, infinite gifts of who you are. And so each time that those experiences arise, imagining beyond the 3D, there will be those 3, 4D energies that will need to be healed and released through your healing. So just know that's normal and that's a natural part of the process. And just allow yourself to know that much of your dreams that you're coming from when you first wake up will allow you a lot of creative inspiration for you to co-create here in this reality. And what's occurring right now, because humanity needs that support, is that many are collectively gathering together, soul tribe, like vibrations, collecting and gathering so that we can support one another in our dreams, in our experiences. And a while ago, I had this illustration drawn up because I had seen these crystalline pods and these crystalline pyramids and temples where we created sacred, beautiful sacred healing and sacred temples and, places where we would gather for, teaching and learning and teach learning and on and off world contact, as you can see, on and off world contact, and our expansiveness with nature and animals. And so this is a multidimensional perspective of feeling beyond and experiencing beyond 3D. And your life can be and exhibit its own unique desire with Source, because we're all infinite. We come with infinite gifts to perceive, to imagine, to create. We have our gifts and our tools as our hands and our chakras and our bodies to co-create within greater fields of codes and information and wisdom and light. And how would that look? How would it feel? How could you intuit from someone on the other side of the world to come together with you as a soul tribe and co-create whatever it is you're wishing to co-create? A new learning center, or ways that will change how we view education or trade. These are the creative imaginings, these creative gifts that we each come with, sown with Source, that we're here to begin imagining. And so know that your imagination is your greatest tool and your greatest gift to co-create a new reality. It absolutely is. But first, we must believe in ourselves to know that we are one with Source, that we have these potentials, that we have infinite gifts that we can express and activate and tap into through the love of all that we are, just to explore. Remember, learning is a wonderful part, and that's the soul's ache and desire to explore creation. But it does so because it wants to be in joy of itself as love, as exploratory love, as expressive love, as experiential love. And so always remember the joy, always remember the reverence, always remember piety and benevolence, in those centerings and honorings of movement and direction of your energy and direction of your intention and your focus. You will always be aligned with your highest path. And you will see things come to you miraculously and benevolently and synchronistically, because Source and all of the heavenly councils and beings are also benevolently working on your behalf as well. They're aligning, helping you align and helping, transmute some things that we've caused and created for ourselves that aren't in our highest and our best, because we're trying to figure ourselves out in this fourth dimensional vibration of release and healing. And be honoring and grateful and valuing of your teams and your presence of who you are as spirit, to continue that grateful flow of life, that grateful flow of love, that grateful flow of co-creative experience. And co-create, create the dream journals and your dream reflections, because your dreams give you an ample amount of on and off world experience that we're here to anchor, and we're here to begin creating greater light. Whether that's for healing tools, experiences, as well as, just your enjoyment and hobbies. Movement is going to be a really key part of healing, to activate the vagus nerve, rebalancing our multidimensional bodies, and releasing the density. So there's so much that we have to explore as a collective. So just trust yourself, trust your plan and your inspirations that you're being received through your dreams, through your meditations. There's been many times where I receive things in my visions and my meditations that I don't have words for, and you just explain and express it as best you can, because as you do, it goes into the collective field, and those that are meant to feel it and receive it call on those experiences, and they know exactly what to do and how to do it. So there's some things that for a scientific perspective I might not be able to understand, but I can put the ideas and the information out there for others to grasp onto, and that's how we feed each other as a collective. We inspire one another as a collective, as Gaia does us. We're all activating one another. And why we talked about earlier, our soul contracts come for the greatest service of one another. We're here to serve one another in the evolution, however it falls into place, and however it unweaves, and however it patterns itself is based on our own awareness and perspective at the time. If we're not valuing and honoring that experience, then it will fall into that vibration of dishonor and lack of respect. So this is why we've always said, begin with infinite, begin with piety, begin with reverence and benevolence. And you're always honoring and allowing yourself to be fully in alignment of source. Just your intention. I'm fully aligned with my source. I'm fully aligned with my highest destiny. I'm allowing myself to explore my most expansive experience through the benevolence of light programs. How may I open into my Christic imagination? How may I open into my Christic gifts? How may I open into all that I am as a soul? I call my soul forward. I call my spirit forward. I call my higher self to live through me and God to live through me. Source, the universe to live through me. How may I co-create? How may I imagine beyond what is right now? I want to imagine a house that's not really a house, that has indoor-outdoor energy, that I'm constantly connected with science and spirit. I'm constantly connected with who I am as an elemental, as a pixie, and as an energy to assist Gaia in healing, creating new medicines and new herbs and new flowers, new gardens. And it's all held within our delight and excitement to explore who we are. And we have much to co-create. We have much to be excited about as humans. We've come so very far. So just know that there is so much for us to be grateful for in every moment. So step aside from what you think might be unfolding right now and allow yourself to take a few deep breaths and harmonize the source. And just know that everything is perfect. You are perfect. And in all moments, you can create that oneness, that stillness with reverence and benevolence for your own connection to be human, to be an omnipresent being of source light, connecting with all of your universal teams and your beings, many of the Ocean Collective, the Children Collective from all over planets, Insectoids, beautiful insectoids that assist us in understanding insects on our planet and what role they play and have helped us with our oneness with all life. Birds, the birds collective, they're so intelligent. I've always had such an amazing fascination with birds and my entanglement and connection with them. As you can see, the many chickadees that fly, and birds are always following me, and ravens and owls, and just I have a bird. I'm connected, and I have a lifetime as a bird, bird human, bird family, and Pleiades. And they're very near and dear to my heart, and had many experiences with them. And they open you up to the imagining of what else, what could, when we have the ability in our 5D state, we can transform our bodies into, we have the ability to shapeshift. We have the ability to assume forms if we so desire, to learn and expand. That's why we choose the forms that we do. That's why we choose the bodies that we do, for our soul's benevolent exploration. So just know that we're infinite, and we can begin to imagine beyond. We can begin to imagine what is life beyond having a job. It might sound strange and awkward right now. I mean, many of us are, we're in the position now where we have that time to imagine and create. And so let's create as a collective. What does our collective hearts truly desire? Do we desire just to roam freely and in liberation, in benevolent honor and altruism with one another, with our planet? Can we allow ourselves to release our expectations and our understandings of jobs, and living to work and working to live type of ideals and patterns, and really create something that all are benefited from? It doesn't mean to say that tomorrow you wake up and the whole world no longer has jobs and we get to do what we want. These will be changes over time, because there will be those that aren't ready for it. And we're here to help and assist all to awaken to a potentiality that is beyond what we know right now. But it takes each and every one of us, because our imaginings and our creativities help trigger each and every one of us. We are all assisting each other. And so allow yourself to play, allow yourself to explore, what would a new home in 5D look like? How could I create it that is environmentally free-flowing, that suits my singing and my toning, that suits my healing, practice? Whatever it is, begin to explore beyond, begin to take yourself farther. And when you think you've gone farther, say, I am infinite, and I know tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm even going to go farther than that. Allow yourself to be that expressive play potential that you are a source. You'll see yourself changing every day. You'll see yourself excited to get up and work with your body and your ways and your cells and the mechanism of all that you are, the motherboard, the innate, your Akash, Gaia, feel into your expressive creative tools, feel into your ability to remember your celestial downloads and your wisdoms that come from on and off world, all over the omnipresent, that source is inspiring through you because you're just excited and joyful to be you. The most important offering that we have today as you imagine beyond is allow yourself in all moments to honor and exalt who you are. Exalt yourself as perfect, exalt yourself as beautiful, exalt yourself as needed and required in every way, because you are a gift. You are meant to be here and express and explore and experience all that you are. You're beautiful. So imagine beyond. Allow yourself to open and become free within this beautiful energy of source that you are. And we hope that you've enjoyed our daily inspiration, and we wish you well. We wish you the highest creative expression and exploration of yourself as source, and we honor you in all ways. Namaste.